All right, you beautiful people. Last episode this week. This one we're talking about what to look for in a 3PL, a third party logistics slash fulfillment center slash warehouse. These are all synonymous. It all means the same thing. This was a recommendation from, who was this a recommendation from, Scotty? Do you know?
I am not entirely sure.
Oh, that is just a crime against humanity. Okay. Well, someone put this in the Telegram, was asking about it. I mean, it's a pretty simple question. What to expect from a warehouse in terms of pricing, ideas on how to spot the good ones. He did say not just in the US, although I don't know how much we can really talk about fulfillment centers not in the US because to my understanding, Scotty, I mean, I've never worked with a fulfillment center outside the US. Have you?
I mean, China.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a fulfillment center though, is it?
I mean, you do the same exact thing. They take a product, they put it in the box, and they ship it out. What do you call that? Um,
I would call it
I've
a dropshipping agent.
yeah, but a dropshipping agent in a lot of ways just fulfillment center again. I've gotten quotes from some places in Europe, but not can't really recall what they cost, and never worked with any of them. So
Gotcha.
we'll talk about US and China pretty much.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So, what can we expect in terms of pricing?
I mean, pricing should be around $1 per order for pick and pack.
So yeah,
For
hold on.
fulfillment,
Let's take a step back for a second and talk about how they. I mean, they all kind of structure their fees differently, but I feel like this is probably not a super well understood aspect of fulfillment centers for people who've never worked with one before. How is their how are their fees structured in a general sense?
right? So generally, you're gonna have to pay for shipping, which is what it costs them to ship your product via USPS, FedEx, whatever the fuck. You're gonna have to pay that per order, and they're gonna add it up at the end of the week and send you the bill for it. And you're also going to have to pay their fulfillment fee, which is the fee that goes to them for their service. Some places will have storage fees as well. We haven't worked with places that do storage fees. We've worked with smaller companies, not the huge fulfillment centers that generally have storage fees. Um, so both fulfillment centers in the US that we've worked with just use a per order fulfillment fee, which should be around $1. Then, depending on the place, they're going to charge you for packaging as well. It's like the mailer you send it in, the box you send it in. You might be charged extra for that. You just want to talk to them and figure out exactly what you're going to be charged for. Most places are pretty transparent. We've gotten quotes from places where there's like a flat amount where they'll say, oh, it's $6 per order anywhere to the US. And there's no breakdown between fulfillment fee and shipping cost. I don't like that. Um, I just don't like that because it should make a difference in price whether we're shipping a ring or a stereo. Like, like there should be more differentiation than just, oh, it's a flat rate unless you're shipping something massive. So I prefer just the model of here's your fulfillment fee per unit or per order, and then we're going to pass along the shipping cost from the carrier to you as well.
Right. So with all that included, what is the dollar amount per order, all included, that you can kind of expect to be paying for a 3PL to ship out your orders?
Well, I would say if you're selling mostly one unit or one SKU per order, the fulfillment fee should be $1, and then the shipping is going to be entirely dependent on weight and volume. The shipping can be $3.50, or it can be up to $5, depending, or it can be way more than $5 depending on what you're selling. And again, if you send your product info like weight, dimensions, or you send an actual physical product to the 3PL, they should be able to give you a pretty good estimate depending on whatever zone they're going to. And this is the thing, like, say you're shipping from Houston, Texas, shipping to LA is going to be different to shipping to New York, but shipping to New York is also going to be different to New Jersey. Like every zone varies. And it's, yeah, I mean, it doesn't vary by much, but everywhere you ship is going to vary a little bit in price. Which is why, again, they just pass you along the info from the carrier, you pay it, and that's that.
Okay. So if you had to put a dollar amount on it, it's probably somewhere between like $4 and $6 for most stuff.
Probably $4, including fulfillment, probably between $4.50 and $6 to anywhere in the US.
Okay. I think this is something that people like. I definitely expected this. Like when you switch from drop shipping to fulfilling from the US, people think that, okay, so I'm going to be ordering in bulk. I'm going to be able to get a better deal on my products per unit. My cost of goods is going to go down. So my margins should increase. In our experience, that's kind of a fallacy because while you probably are getting, say you're ordering it from AliExpress or from a dropshipping agent, like, singular units, say you're getting it for like $7. If you order 1,000 or 5,000 units in bulk, maybe you can get it for $5 or for like $4.50. The thing is, you still also have to pay for shipping from China to the fulfillment center, which, depending on the size of your product, if it's a small product that's lightweight, you could actually be paying more in shipping costs just to get it from China to the US than the actual product cost itself. Especially right now, because shipping costs have just absolutely skyrocketed over the past year. And on top of that, then you also have to individually pay the fulfillment center for each order that goes out. Now, for us, we charge for shipping on our website. We charge a flat rate for shipping. Now, that flat rate that we charge for shipping is not the full amount that we're paying. Yeah, let's say, just rough example, if we're paying $6 in shipping costs just to get it from the fulfillment center to the customer, we're probably only charging them, say, $4 of that. So we're still paying, that's still coming out of our pocket. We're getting the product for cheaper because we're ordering in bulk, but we also have to pay the shipping costs to get it from China to the US. And it tends to kind of balance itself out. In some cases, I've actually, I think we've seen it where your margins actually go down.
Yeah. Generally, when we quote it out, it is equally expensive or slightly more expensive. And then when you're doing volume, it's generally a little cheaper. And then when you're doing sea shipping, it's pretty much always cheaper. But yeah, the whole like buying in bulk does not save you that much, because I mean, I think the reason why is because people selling on Ali, or I don't know, factories or resellers generally, they're also buying in like 500 units or something at a time if they're actually selling on Ali consistently. So they're like, you're not getting that much better of a deal than the Ali seller. So sure, the Ali seller buys for $2, sells to you for $3, but like his 50% margin there, his 50% markup is only $1 to you. And just the physical fact of life is that shipping is fucking expensive. Yeah. And having to ship bulk and then also ship individual adds up. Whereas if you're shipping from China, it's just that one time shipping cost. So the whole buying in bulk to save money is kind of a fallacy. You buy in bulk so that your customers are happy and that you don't get banned and that your business doesn't crash and burn in Q4 when shipping times go from 2 weeks to 6 weeks.
That is pretty well said, man. That is pretty well said. Now, Another part of this question is ideas on how to spot the good ones. How do you spot a good 3PL or fulfillment center?
Fuck if I know. I mean, referral is good. Talk to someone who's working there, get a referral. It's tough though. It's also what you expect from your fulfillment center. Whoever you work with, there's going to be issues. And well, I just said get a referral, but I've referred people to a fulfillment center in the past who then didn't have a good experience or had a horrible experience. because again, like we talked about earlier or in a different episode, there is a lot of headaches and a lot of bullshit and a lot of problems. And some of those problems are at the fulfillment center level. I had a buddy who got just a bunch of his product got lost at the fulfillment center. Like it was there and then it was gone. And I don't think they ever really made that right.
Dude,
And
that happened to us with the old brand back in the day, where we were like, yo, they like updated us on the inventory and we're like, we're short of this, this SKU, however many 100 units. And we looked at the inventory levels and we're like, dude, no way. We have like 2,000 of those. And they're like, no, they're not here. And I'm like, dude, yes, they fucking are. Like, you better find them. And then after like a week, they finally did find them. But that was the worst fulfillment center experience I've ever had. I think one, maybe this isn't how to spot the good ones, but how to spot the bad ones. Don't work with a fulfillment center that just started in the last like 3 months. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah. I also think you don't want to be a fulfillment center's biggest client and you don't want to be their smallest client. A lot of the bad experiences are because you're selling 3 units a day and you're like, communication sucks, but you're asking like 12 questions and selling, like doing 3 orders a day in volume. And if you're not pushing volume, you have to be a low hassle client, in my opinion. Whereas if you are pushing volume, you can be a little more communicative and get issues resolved and just be on top of them to get your stuff sorted out. But if you're like a tiny client, I kind of feel like you got to make sure that you're hassle free for them because they're not making money off of you. If they have to spend a bunch of time dealing with you, you don't want to be a shitty client. If you're a shitty client, you're going to end up getting shitty service. That's just kind of how it goes. How else to spot the good ones? I think transparent pricing is a must up front. Ask them for their shipping times. Ask them how they ship. We have shipped DHL e-commerce in the past. It's pretty slow. I don't like it. I like USPS for US shipping. You'd think DHL is better than USPS, but the DHL e-commerce service wasn't in our experience. It just wasn't as good. Keep track of how quickly your orders get to people on average. That was kind of why we made a switch from one fulfillment center to another, because we just realized that, hey, with fulfillment center A, we're seeing 6 to 9 days. With fulfillment center B, we're seeing 2 to 5 days. This just doesn't make sense to be fulfilling from a slower place that is charging us as much or more.
Mm-hmm.
Again, shipping times are huge. Shipping times and communication are huge. Back-end systems
is like really freaking key, honestly.
I didn't catch that. What'd you say?
I think communication is like extremely, extremely key. And that's the thing is that's hard to tell when you're looking at them, like trying to decide which one. You can kind of tell based off of your communication with them when you're like kind of like feeling them out and seeing what their prices are and everything. But like fast communication is extremely, extremely valuable with a fulfillment center, because they're going to be able to, like, again, there's going to be issues. That's just the nature of this business. Like shipping is one of the most complicated, complex businesses ever. So there's going to be issues. But if you have someone who you're able to get in contact with and they respond very quickly, that's going to allow you to just cut down on so many issues with your customers, like just like customers who need to change an order, or who, just there's so many different things that, you might be contacting your fulfillment center with. I mean, we have a Skype chat with our fulfillment center. And I mean, that's probably the busiest Skype chat that I'm in, because it's just like order 83527.
Filipino VAs going back and forth.
Yeah. It's like a bunch of our VAs that are like order 83527. They need this, or, they, whatever. Like there's just, I'm trying to like say things without getting too specific into like what we're doing, but
yeah,
Communication, absolutely key. That was super frustrating with that fulfillment center that I mentioned a second ago. That was just like really bad. They were terrible at communication, like absolutely awful. And it made it really difficult to resolve issues. So if you can find someone who's very responsive, that goes a long way.
Yeah. Also, back-end systems, there's kind of like, there's a trade-off between smaller companies and bigger companies where if you go with a ShipBob, you're going to have a bunch of cool back-end systems from them, but then you're not going to have a Skype chat where your VAs are sending them individual requests. There's just zero chance that ShipBob is accepting that. They will have their way of communication. There will be a form or some shit that you have to submit. I don't actually know how it works, but it's not going to be as personal. It's not going to be a Skype chat with fucking 10 people in it going back and forth all day, every day. But on the plus side, you're going to have better systems. So there's always that trade-off. In terms of systems, I think the only thing you really, really need is you want to see your live inventory. So make sure your fulfillment center has that.
Mm-hmm.
Which you'd think is a pretty standard thing, but yeah, you want to check that.
Besides that, I can't think of a whole lot else.
I would say if you can get, this probably doesn't always make sense, but see if there's anyone in your area and talk to people in your area. Like, there's something to be said for being able to hop in your car and drive down there in like 10, 20, 30 minutes to be able to talk to them or look at an issue or something. Definitely something to be said for that.
It would also be just kind of cool. You go and see all the boxes of your product. I've always kind of been curious, like with the amount of volume that we're pushing right now, what does that look like in the fulfillment center? Like how many shelves do we got?
It's a lot of boxes.
It's a lot of freaking boxes.
We got to make that trip sometime, actually.
I really should have done it last time I was out there. I just I didn't quite get around to it.
Yeah, but no, we've had not countless, but we've had a couple times where my business partner being able to drive past there has solved some little issues. So yeah, it's not rocket science. I think the owner of the fulfillment center, the guy that runs it at least, he likes to say it's not very complicated what we do. We just put product in boxes and ship it out, which is true. It's a very simple thing, but a lot of stuff always goes wrong. So yeah, have someone who's willing to talk to you and willing to work with you. Ask them what their minimums are, because if you're doing 10 orders a day now and they're like, yeah, that's perfect, 10 orders a day is our minimum, actually, are they still going to be cool with you when you get your ad account banned and you're not doing 10 orders a day anymore? Just sort of feel people out, and if you get someone who's decent, even if it's maybe not the best fucking fulfillment center in the world, if they're decent, I would stick with them, because just building that relationship is going to be so valuable. And also moving fulfillment centers is a massive pain in the ass. Even if your delivery truck doesn't fucking crash and burn like ours did.
Still waiting on that freaking insurance payout.
We are indeed.
But yeah.
Which ironically, the fulfillment center manager is handling for us. So there you go.
Wow. What a guy. What a freaking guy. All right, y'all. Well, I think that'll do it for this week's knowledge drop. Hopefully you guys learned something. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you did. Maybe you just like listening to Scotty's confusing accent. No one really knows what your accent is. People ask me that all the time. Like, what's Scotty's accent?
Who asks you that?
Dude, I obviously I'm not gonna be able to think of like the specific person right off the top of my head, but I've been asked that at least like 5 to 10 times throughout my life.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's confusing because I started using American words and talk to Americans all the time. But
then, you're like, yeah, bro, that's lit.
in a semi-Scottish accent. Funniest thing is in the States when chicks fucking like are like absolutely certain you're using a fake accent at the bar. I'm like, yeah.
Did that happen a lot? Girls think you're using a fake accent?
Yeah. I've had that a few times in the States.
That is hilarious.
Also, funny note for all the international people listening, as Schmitty likes to call you guys.
All you freaking foreigners.
Schmitty thinks everyone has an accent except for Americans. Like if you meet someone abroad and they sound like pretty much American, he's like, "Wow, it's crazy. She didn't have an accent." I'm like, "Yeah, she did. She sounded American." He's like, "Well, that's not an accent."
Yeah, because that's how it works for everyone, you know. Australians don't think they have an accent, and they think I have an accent. I mean, there is. I do feel like an English dialect that is just no accent, which I'm pretty sure is just like people from California. If you're from California, that's just like no accent.
Still American. Still clearly American.
Yeah. Well, clearly the best country in the world. So clearly I'm right. And
For
clearly
sure.
we are done with this week's knowledge drop. If you guys have any other ideas, things you want us to talk about, things you need help with, problems you want us to help you solve, drop them in the Telegram and maybe we'll make an episode about it. Maybe we won't, but only one way to find out. So hopefully y'all enjoyed. And as always, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace.